The sun was setting over the majestic Ming Dynasty palace, casting a golden glow over the bustling streets. Amidst the excitement, a young woman named Mei stood at the altar, her heart racing with anticipation. She was about to marry the crown prince Li Jian, the most powerful man in the kingdom. Mei's father, General Wang, stood proudly beside her, beaming with pride. He had arranged this marriage to secure his family's future and strengthen his position in the dynasty. As Mei exchanged vows with Li Jian, she couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. She had heard whispers about Li Jian's numerous concubines and his ruthless ambition, but she had chosen to believe his words, that he loved her and would cherish her as his wife. Little did Mei know, her life was about to take a drastic turn. Months passed, and Mei became pregnant with Li Jian's child. She was overjoyed, believing that this would strengthen their bond. But Li Jian's true intentions soon became apparent. He began to distance himself from Mei, spending more time with his concubines. Mei tried to brush it off, thinking that he was just stressed with his royal duties. But one fateful night, Mei discovered a shocking truth. Li Jian had been using her family's influence and power to further his own ambitions. He had manipulated her father into supporting his claim to the throne, and now he was planning to eliminate Mei's entire clan to prevent them from becoming a threat to his rule. Mei was horrified. She realized that she had been blinded by her love for Li Jian and that she had to act quickly to protect her family. Mei's world came crashing down around her. Li Jian's soldiers stormed into her chambers, arresting her and her family. Mei was dragged before the emperor, who condemned her family to death. As Mei watched in horror, her family was beheaded before her eyes. Li Jian stood beside her, his eyes cold and calculating. "You should have stayed loyal." Mei was thrown into a dark cell where she was left to rot. But Li Jian's plan was even more sinister. He spread rumors that Mei had run away with an enemy general, that she had betrayed the dynasty and her family. The entire world believed the lie. Mei's reputation was ruined, and her family's legacy was tarnished. Mei's eyes snapped open, and she found herself back in her own body on the day of her wedding to Li Jian. She was reborn, given a second chance to change the course of her life. Mei's mind was racing with memories of her past life. She knew that she had to act quickly to prevent the same tragedy from unfolding again. With a newfound sense of determination, Mei set out to take charge of her life. She began to gather allies, to build a network of loyal supporters who would help her bring down Li Jian. Mei's plan was to use her intelligence, her wit, and her charm to manipulate those around her. She would play the game of politics, using every trick in the book to outmaneuver Li Jian. Mei's father, General Wang, had always been a favorite of the emperor. He had fought bravely in many battles and had earned the emperor's respect and admiration. Mei used her father's influence to gain an audience with the emperor. She charmed and seduced him, using her beauty and her wit to win him over. The emperor was taken aback by Mei's intelligence and charm. He listened to her views and began to see Li Jian in a different light. As Mei's influence over the emperor grew, Li Jian's began to wane. The emperor started to question Li Jian's loyalty and began to see him as a threat to the dynasty. Mei's next move was to create a web of deceit around Li Jian, to make him believe that she was still the naive, lovesick girl he had manipulated before. She began to flirt with him, to make him think that she still had feelings for him. She would bat her eyelashes, smile coyly and touch his arm, all the while hiding her true intentions. Li Jian, arrogant and confident, fell for May's trap. He began to underestimate her, to think that she was still under his control. But May was secretly gathering evidence of Li Jian's wrongdoing, using her charm and beauty to extract information from his loyalists. She was building a case against him, one that would bring him down and clear her family's name. May stood before Li Jian, her eyes blazing with determination. She had gathered enough evidence to bring him down, and she was ready to confront him. Li Jian, you have betrayed the Emperor's trust. You have embezzled funds, accepted bribes, and compromised the dynasty's security. You are a traitor, and you will be punished. Li Jian sneered at May, but she could see the fear in his eyes. He knew that he was guilty, and he knew that May had the evidence to prove it. Li Jian, you have brought shame to our dynasty. You will be stripped of your title and your privileges. You will be imprisoned in the dark jail, where you will rot for the rest of your life. Li Jian's face turned white with rage and fear. He knew that he was finished, and he knew that May had won. Li Jian was thrown into the dark jail, a place where the worst criminals were sent to rot. He was left alone with his thoughts, and slowly but surely, he began to lose his mind. As he sat in the darkness, Li Jian began to dream of his past life. He saw glimpses of a beautiful woman, a woman who had loved him and whom he had betrayed. He saw himself using her, manipulating her, and ultimately destroying her. Li Jian's dreams were fragmented and unclear, but they filled him with a sense of dread and foreboding. He knew that he had done something terrible, something that had come back to haunt him in this life. As the days turned into weeks, Li Jian's madness grew. He would scream and curse, begging for forgiveness from the woman he had wronged. He would see her face in the darkness, her eyes blazing with anger and hatred. And then, one day, Li Jian remembered the name of the woman from his dreams, May. He remembered the way she had looked at him, the way she had spoken to him. He remembered how she had loved him and also remembered the way she had cried and begged him to not ruin her. May, you have destroyed me. You have ruined my life. But May was long gone, living a new life at the border, free from the intrigue and politics of the palace. She had won her revenge, and she had moved on. Li Jian, on the other hand, was left to rot in the dark jail, haunted by the ghosts of his past. May had finally achieved her goal. She had brought Li Jian down and she had cleared her family's name. She had proven herself to be a strong and determined woman, and she had earned the respect of the emperor and the court. But May knew that she couldn't stay in the palace. She had had enough of the intrigue and the politics. She wanted to leave the palace and start a new life, a life where she could be free to make her own choices and live her own life. The emperor, who had grown fond of May, agreed to let her go. He offered her a place at the border, where she could live with her parents and protect the country from invaders. May accepted the offer, and she left the palace with a sense of relief and freedom. She knew that she would always carry the scars of her past with her, but she also knew that she had the strength to overcome them. As she rode away from the palace, May felt a sense of hope and excitement. She knew that she had a new beginning ahead of her, a beginning where she could be herself and live her life on her own terms. And so May rode off into the sunset, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, armed with her courage, her determination, and her unwavering spirit.